Hip-hop seul radio. Générations.
It's BRYCE VINE and you're watching Générations. This is my third time in Paris. Yeah.
How do you like it here?
It's one of my most beautiful cities. It's just like, it gives me a reason to not just be on my phone. You know what I mean? It was like, try not to take too many. I don't want to have people know that I'm American immediately, besides the fact that I don't know, does this look American? Is this an American looking, do we look American on the street? So when I was in college, I went to school in Boston, music school, and I was singing jazz a lot.
Okay.
And I just sang on some artist's song, and he was like, you should have an artist name. And my whole life, Ross Johnson as a last name has confused banks, hotels. He was like, oh, why don't you make it BRYCE Vinyl since you sing jazz? And I was like, I'll just make it Vine and I'll change it later. And then I never did. I've talked about it a lot. It's like to fail like that, because I was always struggling with even feeling like I was good enough when I was in school and everything, and being surrounded by musicians. So the Glee project was a great way to kind of elevate my mindset of my capability as an artist. And then I got kicked off immediately almost. I was the first one. So I was just like, oh man, like what was the point of that? The point was so I could go back and start writing, and when I had my face on television, people would go search me and find my music. And that's really how I got started. I just, you know, it just wasn't, I'd never watched an episode of Glee. So it wasn't for me, you know, and I think they wanted reality TV stars more than they wanted musicians. And I wasn't that. I'm grateful that I didn't win the Glee project, I think. One of my best friends did though. Yeah, I think his music just keeps, his music keeps becoming something different, which is what I like. I like when I never know what an artist is gonna do next. You know, he's always pushing it to the next level. I don't think Drake would even be Drake if it weren't for 808s and Heartbreaks. You know, I don't think The Weeknd would have been able to be as big as he became without that album too. I mean, I go into writing songs because, like, I'll finish a song because I think it's good. You know, and that's like the main thing, to write good songs. So I knew it was good when I was done. I guess it's just hard to say what's gonna draw people and why. You know, it helped that I think that the same year that SZA put out a song called Drew Barrymore. So it was almost like people talked about that, you know, which helped elevate it. If anytime you name a song, somebody that big in pop culture, you know, like if I had called it Audrey Hepburn, the same thing might have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
But Drew Barrymore just has a lot of those qualities that I like in a girl. Like, she's sweet, she's sincere, she's funny, she's kind of badass. You know, I think people recognize her as that kind of actress too. I mean, I've been a fan of Wale since I was like 15 years old. So when I found out he was gonna do the song, I was immediately excited. And we flew back from tour back to LA to shoot the video like all in one day. And I really wanted like to make a good impression with him. But he was like one of those guys that just, he's involved, you know, he's a real artist. He doesn't just come there and gets the check for a feature. He came and he was like, had ideas that he wanted to do, and he was talking about how we were like the new Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. He was just a cool guy, man. He was really a fun person to do that with. Yeah. That sounds really dangerous. I always say that I like to write in my car, but I'll like drive around, you know, and just like see things. I'll drive around Beverly Hills in LA, and then I'll park and I'll listen to the song a bunch of times, just taking in the atmosphere. But it's my favorite way to write because it's always changing. Instead of sitting in a room and I have nothing really to grab a hold of unless I go on the internet, and then I just get distracted and end up on YouTube anyway. So it's my favorite way to write. But my favorite place to write so far has been Amsterdam, actually. Yeah. I've been there 3 times in the last 2 years and written some, like, or at least gotten parts of some of my favorite songs. Well, my first EP was called Lazy Fair, and that's the French term. And then the second one was called Laissez-faire, yeah. It was like a play off that. My mom had a little party boat when I was growing up on the lake that she called that, so it's kind of play on that. And then my second one was called Night Circus, which I got from the title of a book that I like. So circus, fair, Carnival just kind of is the encompassment of color and all these things going on, kind of how my mind works. So it depends on what the song's about. You know, some of it is self-therapy. You know, I wrote a song called The Fall to express out loud what it felt like to go through heartbreak. And it helped. It helped me to listen to it. And some songs make me feel better in a different way. Like, they remind me of my childhood and my friends and growing up and driving down the freeway with the windows down, listening to loud music, you know? Like the feelings that everyone feels happy and, you know, that make life fun. So it just really depends on what the song ends up. My ideal night in Paris would probably to just go out with these people and have really good dinner, have drinks, end up drunk, walk around Paris a little bit listening to jazz music. I'm not a really big club guy, so that would probably never take place. But my favorite movie is Midnight in Paris. So I'd find some of the places from that movie and I would just take pictures there. That would be ideal.
Okay.
And if I got a chance to walk around the city by myself, a little drunk, with headphones on and write music and came up with a good song, it would be perfect.